which it is exactly, but welcome to the Rotary Club of Park Cities. Obviously, I'm not Happy Franklin. She's, with any luck at all, is probably having a morning mimosa on the beach somewhere in Hawaii. And so I have the honor today of filling in for her, and I'm past President Karen FARRIS, and I hope I've not forgotten how to run a meeting. So, call to order. And our first order of business is going to be Cub Amos, who's going to do the invocation, the pledge, and the national anthem. Cub?
Thank you, past president. We save our joys for the honey bucket, but does anybody have any concerns today before we go to God? No concerns. That's great news. Dear Heavenly Father, let us pray this day to give thanks for this great nation, the United States of America. We are all thankful to live in a nation that is free and where all people are equal, not in mental capacity, physical size, ability, but equally free before the law and in the judgment of God. Lead us to be a better citizen of our land. Let us do more than sing songs and salute the flag and repeat the pledge, but enable us to go further and make our contributions to the useful and services as the principles of Rotary, which is service above self. Be with our members, our speaker today, and we ask we all go forward in these troubled times. In God's name we ask. Amen. Okay. Pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mark?
Oh, you're restarting. Okay. Sorry. Because I'm like, you'll have to leave it. Sorry. Okay. Oh. Can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose bright stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, o'er the ramparts we watched, were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bumpers seen in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Cub. And now we're going to have our introduction of guests, and I have a helper here with me. So before we start with the introduction, we're really honored today to have two past district governors here, and one is Richard Gilman. Richard, would you stand up? Thank you. And then we also have Bill Dendy with us today, so great. Okay, if everybody else who has a guest will stand, please, and let's introduce them.
Well, let's start with
Ladies first. And I got a beautiful one. Stand up. Peachy Rudberg is our guest today. She's been in the real estate industry since the beginning of time. Wonderful lady, beautiful person, and a really good candidate for the Rotary Club of Park Cities. Peachy Rudberg.
Gosh, Greg, if she ever comes back after that introduction from the beginning of time. Good to have you here with us.
Well, I'm thrilled to have Ashley, my very first friend when I moved to Texas. She's also my real estate broker and agent, so I'd like her to introduce herself.
Hello. This is my actually second time. I did visit you guys last year, so it's good to be back. And I am with Abby Halliday, and I just enjoy learning about the dynamic market that's happening here in Texas. And I am also licensed in Oklahoma, so if you have any needs up there.
Thank you. And Dan, did you want to introduce Roger's guests, or do you want to do that when your introduction?
I get to introduce you and me? Yeah, okay. Wow. Well, hello. Emily and Haley they're my guests, but they're actually guests of Dan because I'm Dan's guest. So Emily, if you don't know her, her phone says Emily. And then Haley is right here. So Haley just got shocked that I said her name as she walked in. So Haley and Emily, it's their first time here. Yes, congratulations.
Thank you. Welcome, ladies. We appreciate it. Any other guests? Okay, very good. We'll move right on then to the Rotary Foundation. Greg Pape.
Thank you, past President Karen. Quick announcement. Karen told me it had to be quick. The mission of Rotary International is to provide service to others, promote integrity, advance world understanding, goodwill, and peace through its fellowship of business, professional, and community leaders. Peachy, that just sums it up, what Rotary is all about. How does Rotary establish peace? Well, Rotary creates an environment of peace. And by carrying out service projects and supporting peace fellowships and scholarship, our members take action to address the underlying causes of conflict, including poverty, discrimination, ethnic tension, lack of access to education, and unequal distribution of resources. Each year, Rotary awards 130 fully funded fellowships for dedicated leaders from around the world to study at one of our peace centers. Through academic training, practice, and global networking opportunities, the Rotary Peace Centers program develops the capacity of peace and development to become effective catalysts for peace. Since the program began in 2002, the Rotary Peace Centers have trained more than 1,500 fellows who now work in over 115 countries. Very impressive. That's Rotary in action. And looking at our own club, we've got up to date now 70 contributors paying into the Rotary Foundation. We are at $29,966, and I swear I hope somebody's got $50 to make it $30,000 today. See me after the meeting, and I'll put your name in the lights. The Rotary Foundation.
Thank you, Greg. Somehow I feel you're going to get more than $50. So anyways, and now I'm going to ask Sarah to come up because we're going to do our Happy Bucks, and we all know why we're doing our Happy Bucks, and we're doing it a little bit different this time. This is your opportunity to tell us something good that's happened to you, make a contribution, and it's all going to the North Texas Food Bank because we're going to reach how many meals?
1 million.
1 million. But this club never stops at a goal, do they?
No.
No, they always go beyond. So let's do that. So who has a Happy Bucket? I'm going to start first. Who's collecting?
I am.
Oh, okay.
Right here.
My Happy Buck is how about those Mavericks? Woo! Okay, who else has a Happy Buck?
I do. Both my kids are home for the week, so I'm excited about that. And we have an anonymous donation to our goal.
Wonderful. Who else has a Happy Buck?
I do a fun one for all the scouts. This is Mark Neese for you. We've got our Troop 70 Court of Honor on Monday night, and my 11-year-old Thomas will make first class, but John, my oldest, will make Life Scout, which, if you guys know, is one step below Eagle. So we're going to start working on Eagle projects next year. We'll be looking for suggestions. If you guys have any ideas, Chris, looking at you.
Okay, thank you. Who else has Happy Bucks? Oh, Richard always has Happy Bucks. Richard's the happiest person I know. I know. Okay. Nothing specific, and Barb has Happy Bucks?
Go Stars.
Go Stars. Yay. Cool. this. What do you think? Who else has happy bucks? Okay, wonderful.
Sure. I'm just happy to be at such an active, wonderful Rotary Club, and I'm just so happy to be here. I'm going to donate, my wife and I are going to donate $1,000 to the food bank.
Thank you, Richard, so much. And you see what I mean about breaking goals? Yeah, we're going to have to change your chart.
Well, hi. I have some happy bucks because I'm happy for this goal, and I'm happy to be back here in person. It has been extremely busy, and just so you know, we're back at levels of where we were at the peak of the pandemic because of inflation. So just know, every dollar that you're providing, we're going to provide free meals out in the community. So thank you all so much. We just love and appreciate everything that Rotary Club Park Cities does to help support you today.
Thank you, Tricia. Okay. Greg Hay.
is just so happy to be here.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Did you want to add anything?
Well, I just wanted to let everyone know that as of yesterday at noon, Diana Cow sends me the total. As of yesterday at noon, we are at 877,760 meals donated on behalf of our parade effort since 2016. Remember, we're trying to hit the 1 million meal goal this year, and we're always very strategic with the matching partners, specifically the David M. Crowley Foundation, which has a double match currently ongoing. And thank you to Tricia for coming. She's collecting our money for the last 2 weeks. And thanks to everyone who's been donating online. I appreciate you.
And don't put that back in your pocket, Philip. I think we have another one over here.
We have one right here.
Oh, and another one. Okay.
Well, I said we're happy that we got a grandson graduate from high school next week.
Good. Thank you. And Philip.
I'm happy that Sarah is the parade chair this year.
Wow. Is this not just the happiest club? I mean, this is wonderful. Thank you, everybody.
And I'm using Sarah's math in this to say it's 1,200 meals I'm donating.
And another one.
I'm happy that we have our book out on the environment. David Munson and me, so see me after if you're interested. And we're going to be at the Rotary Convention in Houston. We have a booth, so if you're at Houston, look for our booth, Get Real Alliance.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Okay, so to move right along, I'm going to call on KRISTIN to come up and tell us about the Legacy of Leadership project.
Hey, y'all. We are having our Legacy of Leadership project go on right now, and I know there are so many things going on in the club, but I'd ask you to hear this ask. We are trying to get folks to bring, and folks, that means women folks, accessories for ladies at Attitudes and Attire. I know you've met Lynn at a luncheon who runs Attitudes and Attire. Doug brought her to us as a Legacy Leadership group. They are ladies who are trying to get back into the workforce, who are in need, who we're trying to serve. They need things that are easy for you to bring. Jewelry you used, but don't want any more. Handbags, scarves, smaller things. They have a lot of clothes, they have a lot of shoes, but if you have a big foot, if you are a 12 up, they need those shoes really bad. But the shoes were pretty good on. I say life is short, buy the shoes, but you can also donate those if you want. So we really need those. You can see the flyers on your tables. We're collecting this week, next week, and the week after, and then we're done. So we need intense effort to bring this stuff together. Eric is going to be keeping all of our nice stuff. Thank you, Eric. Tammy and Chris did a lot of work on the flyers so that you have the information. Take a picture of these if you don't take them with you, but you take them with you if you want. The second part of our leadership initiative is a speakers bureau for the same group, Attitudes and Attire. This one is one that you can actually email me or call me. My information is on here. I'm collecting names of people who would like to speak to these ladies to give them some life lesson help. The topics they're interested in are on here, but they'd also like other topics. It's totally arrangeable by you. Yes?
Where do we bring it?
Here, right here. Just bring it to lunch. Bring it to lunch. Sorry about that. Yeah. Eric's going to pick it up here at lunches next week and the week after, as well as he took some today. Back to Speakers Bureau. I need your information. This is on your schedule. It'll all be Zoomy. It'll be an hour of you giving some information and then the ladies asking you questions. So we need you if you're an expert in these fields. Please join us. That is stuff that'll go on for the whole year and may be repeated or filmed, like recorded, if you're amenable to that. So thank you for participating, and thanks to our whole team. It was a great leadership group, and y'all have worked very hard. Glad to be able to announce it. Thanks.
Thank you, Kristen. Great project. And now, Evan, if you'll come up and introduce your guest, who is guest for the last time today because she's joining. So glad to have both of you. You may want to come around here.
Yeah, I'm taller, so. Just want to introduce JAYME ALTEMUS. She's my wife. She's the newest member of our club. She works for 7-Eleven in corporate real estate. She went to law school at University of Houston, but she always gets mad when I say she's a lawyer for 7-Eleven. I'm not a good storyteller, but only funny story I have about it is when we first met actually in Uptown about 10 years ago. I walked up and talked to her and probably said, nervous, stupid things, but she said that she worked for 7-Eleven, her and her friend did, and I'm like, there's two girls dressed up, I'm like, work for 7-Eleven? That doesn't make any sense. And so they were just playing a joke on me, and then fast forward, she actually ended up working for 7-Eleven now. So feel free, do you want to say anything, Jamie?
No, I'm happy to be here and excited to get involved in the club, so. Thank you for the introduction.
Okay, wait, where is our Shutterbug person today? We need a picture. Yes. Jamie, this is a booklet. We're giving you some information and your red badge that we hope will turn into a blue badge quickly, okay? So let's get a photo here.
Sure.
Okay, thank you. And Evan, did you want to talk about the event?
Sure.
Yeah.
So we're trying to do a lot of interesting events around that support former and current military members. So as part of that, there are two events. This Sunday, it's EQUEST. It's an event with horses. I guess that's with therapy, with veterans. It's a newer event with the club, so I'm going to learn more about it too. But it's Sunday, 10:30 to 2:30 p.m., and you can show up anytime within there. The address it's in the email that Happy sent out, but it's 811 Pemberton Hill Road. It's the Al Hill Junior Arena in Dallas. So I think it sounds like a really great event. Feel free to come if you'd like. The next event is something that's very personal to me. It's Carry the Load. It's Memorial Day March. It's called a march, but we're not out there marching in uniform. So anyone can show up. It's two different times on Sunday from 12 to 2 when the event, Sunday, May 29th, Memorial Day weekend, 12 to 2, and then Monday from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. So we're going, whoever wants to show up can meet at the Reverchon Recreation Center at 3505 Maple Avenue, and then we'll just walk on the Katy Trail. It's in support of two of my classmates who passed away from the Naval Academy, Betsy Healy and Brandon Barrett. I just shake my head every time I think about it. They're such great people, passed away way too soon. So it'd be really great if you could come, even for 30 minutes. You can just text me and meet us on the Katy Trail where we're walking. I greatly appreciate it, and then hopefully it'll be an event we participate in every year. So Memorial Day weekend, either Sunday or Monday, it can be either 30 minutes. You can walk with us the whole 2 hours as much as you want, but it'd be great if you could show up because those are two great people and passed away way too soon. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Evan. We appreciate that. And also, Jamie, welcome. Good to have you with us. Okay, and now we have some special introductions, I understand, from John WHAELY, who's going to introduce our 2022 Service Above Self Scholarship winners. So, John, did you want to come up, or did you want me to give you from? So good to have you guys with us today.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to introduce the winners of the Service Above Self award that we provide at Hillcrest High School. The winners will each receive a scholarship of $2,000. Not bad, huh? Kyle Young is considering going to the University of Texas Arlington and Dallas College and would like to pursue a degree in aerospace engineering. For Kai's service above self is helping someone without expecting anything in return. I think we can agree with that. Brianna VELASQUEZ is interested in marketing and psychology and has been accepted at the University of North Texas. For Brianna, service above self means doing acts of kindness for others because you don't know what others are going through. We appreciate Kai and Brianna, and we know that you will make an oversized contribution to our world. We wish you the best. I also want to show our appreciation to Summer Liu. Summer?
Summer's back here taking pictures.
Summer's taking pictures. Okay. So Summer coordinates things for the Interact Club at Hillcrest High School, so she's a very important person, and thanks to her, we were able to get this accomplished. So please
very good.
Give us a hand.
Congratulations, Kai and Brianna. We hope someday that you'll come back to Dallas and join our Rotary Club. There we go. Okay, Holly, don't sit down. You have an announcement next on PCRConnect. Thank you.
All right, all you slackers that still haven't come out and drank with us yet, it's next Thursday from 5 to 7 at Origins. We're going to be talking some networking and talking some fun stuff, so we'd love to have you join us. Origins on McKinney, 5 to 7 next Thursday. So hope to see you there.
Thank you, thank you. And now before we turn it over to our speaker, we have Alice is going to come and give us her membership moment. Alice.
When I was in the 9th grade in Midland, Texas, which was a very, very long time ago, someone invited my father to join Rotary. He became a dedicated Rotarian and ended up with over 40 years of perfect attendance. I distinctly remember planning family vacations around where my dad could make up Rotary meetings, looking it up in a big book at the time. So when Roger and I got married 12 years later, it was no surprise that my dad invited him to join his Rotary Club. And I became a proud card-carrying Rotary Ann, which is what we were called back then. 23 years after that, however, it was the executive director of the Boy Scouts who invited me to visit a Rotary meeting. And all of that to say, it's never a good idea to assume that someone has already been invited or to assume that someone wouldn't want to be invited, even if their father and husband are already in the club. When we moved to Dallas, our two main priorities were to find a church and find a Rotary Club, because we felt like both of those would be places where we could make new friends and become a part of the community. We appreciate your warm welcome, and now I encourage you to think of others who would want to be a part of this great group of Rotarians. Thank you.
Alice, I just have one question. Did your father live long enough to bring you into the club?
He was in the club when I joined.
Wonderful. And I know we have several in the club whose father actually brought them in, and that's such an honor. So I absolutely promised that I would get our speaker on the podium at 12:30, and I think I made that. So I'm going to turn the program over to right now to Dan Dubinsky to introduce him.
Thanks, Karen. All right, so super excited for today's speaker. Obviously, every week we have phenomenal speakers, whether it's CEOs, mayors, etc. It seems like week in, week out, we just have incredible people. It's very rare that we have someone who was so good and had so much to say that we actually asked him to come back for a part B. Rogers was here a number of months ago and had so many questions and so many just incredible things going on that the comment was, hey, can we get him back here for a second time? So this is the follow-up from there. So obviously everyone knows a little bit about Rogers. I was joking with Haley when she asked me if we needed a bio and a picture. I literally have a giant billboard of his face outside of my office, and his head's about 10 feet big. So know Rogers. Everybody, Rogers is one of the greatest marketing geniuses in Dallas today. He's done incredible things. He recently launched his new ranch and land business. He's going to talk a little bit about that. What are some things that are a little lesser known about Rogers? I was struggling to come up with this one, but Rogers started his business from his dorm room in SMU. He had some friends who were having some difficulties finding places to live, and he helped them out and found his calling. Number two, Rogers is an avid collector of musical collector's items, paraphernalia. He has thousands and thousands of different items, one of which is a piece of John Lennon's hair, which I find a little bit creepy, but also pretty cool. And number three, he and Abby are due with their first child, a little daughter, pretty much any minute right now, which is why I was sweating a little the last couple days. If he keeps looking at his phone and suddenly runs out of here, you know why. One of you guys are going to have to step up. But so before that call comes, Rogers, appreciate you being here. Part B of the Rogers Healy Show.
Unfortunately, that photo next to me, my name is spelled wrong, so another opportunity to brand myself. Thank you, Dan, and also, Dan wasn't here last year when I spoke, and so I'm going to do that entire speech first, and then we're going to get to part two in a second. Thank y'all for having me. I was really nervous last time I was here, not that I'm not nervous now, but I was nervous because I remember standing up here and sharing my story, ironically, that I used to go to these meetings with my dad in South Texas when I was a kid, and it's just really special whenever you get to talk to people that are way smarter than you, which to me that's all the time, but it's also just a full circle moment. And so thank y'all for including myself today and my team. And thanks for bringing me back for a second time. First time I was here, I think I'd kind of gave a little overview on myself, a little overview on the market. Times are changing, and so I thought I could do a quick snippet on kind of what we do and then talk in depth about the real estate market. I know we've got some real estate people in here as well, so it'd be interesting to see their perspective. Like Dan said, I'm just a random relative success case that found real estate at the age of 21. I was a perpetual failure up until real estate, and story goes, I took my real estate exam more than anyone in the state of Texas, 22 times. And that became initially my scarlet letter, but then that became my story, my testimony, and aligning that with my faith. It's something that I'm, believe it or not, really proud of, because it taught me how to be a humble servant leader early on. Found real estate found me, whatever, that's cliche and cheesy, but it did. Had no desire to do this, let me just be honest with you. Sometimes I'm still like, why can't I play an instrument or sing? But I got into it, and as someone who moved a lot as a kid, I was born in South Texas, moved to San Antonio, moved here when I was a second semester freshman at Highland Park High School. If y'all know anything about Highland Park High School, not necessarily the easiest place to move into when you're going through puberty. And I learned a lot, and I learned what my gifts were. And I'm gonna actually put y'all on the spot with my favorite question that I feel is appropriate for in here. And it's a moment that changed my life literally forever. I wouldn't be married to my wife, Abby. We wouldn't be expecting our first kid, a daughter, who is literally due any minute, and that's how dedicated I am to the Park Cities Rotary Club. But a hero of mine, her name is Jan Miller. And if y'all know anything about Jan Miller, she epitomizes everything that a strong and powerful, brandable person is that just knows herself so freaking well. Jan is a book legend. She discovered everybody from, she'll call him Anthony Robbins, we call him Tony, to Arnold Schwarzenegger, represents everybody from Oprah to T.D. Jakes to Jessica Simpson. A few years ago, I was at dinner with Jan, and at the time she was my next door neighbor, and I was just fascinated, still am, by her. And we're sitting there, and within about 10 seconds, she read me like a book. Again, no pun intended, but she did. And she said, I'm going to ask you a question, and I want you to close your eyes, and without thinking, I was like, well, no problem, without thinking. She said, without thinking, I want you to answer it. And so I'm going to actually put y'all on the spot, because I feel like as I carry the torch with this, it's really important. So I'm going to ask y'all. You ready? You got to close your eyes. Let's keep it real. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Answer out loud. What is your superpower? Come on. Dan said flying. Someone over here, I'm joking. What's your superpower? I tell you this to where that moment when I heard it from her, I immediately said giving people confidence. Which the irony is that I didn't really have confidence until real estate, and that's not really a superpower. Most people have the superpower of empathy or of intellect. I don't. And so my superpower is making people feel special through the world of real estate. And so that's kind of how these things have been birthed. And there's a reason that I didn't get married till I was 40. It's because this was my family and still kind of is. But real estate has been really good to me. It's been really good to my family. But I have found that in the world of business, especially right now, the best way to make money is to create a convenience. And I think right now my brand and our brand and your brand is the most important it's ever been, because as we know, interest rates are rising. We have a lot of unknowns in the world. But the beauty is the same beauty we had a year ago. We live in the real estate unicorn. And my fellow real estate people will agree that as crazy as it is right now, what's going on over in Russia and Ukraine and interest rates potentially going up another few points, we really have job security here. So I thought it'd be valuable if I kind of gave a little bit of an overview on the market, open it up to some questions, and then I can go and kind of hype these other things that we're doing, which again, you'll find out. I got a mustache, which is the only manly thing about me. I don't scream ranch and lake guy, but we still do that too. So here's some fun facts that I'm going to read off, and you guys can interject, ask questions, and we'll get to the meat and potatoes along the way. So here's a fun one. Over the past year, since I came and spoke here a year ago, our prices in Dallas have risen over 25%. 20% nationally, but 25% here in our city. The median home price for a home in DFW, take a guess what it is. $529,800. That's crazy, right? All that with interest rates getting closer to 5.5%, something is changing. Next thing, supply is still at our lowest amount we've ever had. You know how many homes short we are in Dallas proper? A lot, 200,000. 200,000. On top of that too, our rental rates here are the highest they've ever been. On top of that, people bought land a year and a half ago at an over premium. They bought lumber and glass and everything at a premium, which means those people have to go and do what when they have those places leased out? They got to make money, which means rental rates are going to continue to rise as well. Next thing, DFW's median days in the market is 34 days, which I know a lot of y'all, that doesn't sound like much. It's not, you know, it's fine, 34 days. It's Charles Barkley's number, which is a good luck number, but that's not that much time, 34 days. And on top of that too, I think what happened during COVID is we lost our seasons. Not that we really have them. Someone came up here and said, when did it get so hot here? I was like, well, welcome to Dallas. Historically, the real estate market, residential, is really, really busy spring and summer. COVID hit March of 20, everyone locked up from really March until maybe May, and it pushed our seasons back. And because of that, a lot of us are having our best quarters the last quarter of the year, which historically is when people check out. So we're seeing these things kind of level out where it's going to probably be busy all the time. How many people are moving to DFW? A question we get pretty significantly. You know how many people per day are moving here on average? 343 people. 70% of those people fall into a category like my friends Emily and Healy. They're millennials. Millennials are driving the market. 40% of first-time home buyers in the U.S. right now are millennials, right? If y'all were in real estate 10, 12, 15 years ago, you know the people that ruined real estate were millennials. People that were like not baby boomers, but my age. The term back then was $30,000 millionaire. They would spend all their money on two things, their rent and their car. And then when they ran out of money to pay their rent and pay for their car and they moved in with their parents, they saved their money and they moved to areas that became boom towns. Dallas, literally, DFW has the only ability, DFW is the only city in the country that can grow all four ways. We literally have the infrastructure for that. And I talked about this last year as well, where everyone loves out north, right? Obviously a boom town. What about south? What about east? When you think about going north in the next 3 or 4 years, you know how far north DFW is supposed to expand? Oklahoma. Literally the Oklahoma border. 93 miles due north from downtown Dallas. You know what's 93 miles due south? Baylor. 90 miles due east? Tyler, Texas. It's crazy. 90 miles west, I don't know, but something. You know, I think they're filming Yellowstone. But when you have that kind of influx, you realize you got to check yourself. And a lot of us are multi-generation Dallas people. We've been here for a long time. I've been here for almost 25 years. Some of y'all maybe just moved here. But the Dallas that we knew 2 years ago is gone. It's literally gone, and it's really exciting. With that comes a lot of new diversity, but it also comes a lot of opportunity. And the only negative part is our prices have gone up, and we literally have traffic now. And people still have a hard time coming to grips with that. So when we're telling people when is the best time to get in, it's yesterday, literally. And right now we have an even bigger reason because of interest rates. So hot trends in the market, like I talked about, millennials are kind of controlling the market. Another thing that happened over COVID, when you think about people that are empty nesters, typically what do they want to do when their kids move out of the house other than celebrate? Downsize. New trend. Upsizing. Right? Imagine being around the person that you spend the most amount of time with even more. Okay? And then these terms come up. Like my favorite term that came up during COVID, you all heard of a cloffice? You know what a cloffice is? Let's combine closet and office. Cloffice, which means what are we out of? Space. Cloffice. Okay? These things happen. We saw people that are retirees and baby boomers actually upsizing across the country. Another reason Dallas-Fort Worth has done so incredibly well. And another reason we have this land and lake department that I started, or company that I started, because people want us, my parents live in the Park Cities, they're never gonna move. They have a primary bedroom on the first floor, and my mom every day, Raj, find me a new construction home, single story, and the mom, stop, it's not gonna happen, right? They're gonna stay in their property. They have a place they go to every single weekend, and they actually just tore down their house and built something new because they want more space. My parents look at East Texas as their backyard, literally. They literally go there because they have grass. They don't have grass at their house in University Park. But those trends have only done this. They've literally gone straight up. Other fun facts, people from larger metropolitan cities don't have a problem moving to the suburbs here, right? Raise your hand if you've been to the Legacy West or the Star in Frisco. You know, maybe 60% of y'all, right? A lot of people here don't have the reason to go. Raise your hand if you've been to Mansfield, Texas in the last 6 months. Boomtown. Raise your hand if you've heard of a city called St. Paul, Texas, right? A couple people. You know what St. Paul flanks? Terrell. How do you know about Terrell? Outlet malls and Jamie Foxx. The fastest growing community in the country the last 2 years has been St. Paul, Texas. It's crazy. You know why? They can buy land out there, the schools are not terrible, and it's close to Dallas and it's close to Tyler. So these trends are shifting daily, and it's just been a lot of fun to be a part of it. So again, like I talked about, Dallas can grow all four ways. Our little bubble has been popped in a fun way, but when you couple that with the real estate market that's evolving and changing dramatically and drastically, something's probably going to have to give. And I think what's going to happen in the world of real estate, y'all know the rule of real estate has always been what? Location. I know we're getting very interactive today, and I think it's in large part because I'm super anxious, just waiting for my wife to say, leave Maggiano's, bring me some pasta, we're having a baby. It's always been location. I have been very adamant about the new rule of real estate being affordability, which means in the world of real estate, whether it's a secondary property or a primary residence, historically people live in their home for 5 to 7 years. I think we're going to see a shift where people live in their property for 2 to 4 years max. You want to know why? They get it, and I mean, like within okay, I know some of you are like, oh my gosh, it's time to move. I've been in my house for 30 years. But for a typical buyer's perspective, they want to just get in. And when you have people against other buyers right now, and if you go and drive to the suburbs to an entry-level home buyer, which I'm sure you've seen, you go to a showing, even right now with the world as volatile as it is, it's like people waiting to get a new iPhone. It's not fun. Being a realtor right now is not fun. Being a homeowner right now is only fun if you don't have to go buy something else. And people are still coming to grips with that kind of stuff. So when you do this and you remove the emotional, just draining part about being a realtor, it turns into business. And that's when it's fun, right? And that's when being a realtor, you're making money. You're like, dang, I actually know what I'm doing. I'm not just bringing popsicles to an open house. I'm actually making a living doing this, but it's changing every single day. And because of that, I am confident that our city and our metroplex is going to be the 4th largest metroplex in the country by 2030. And you look at stuff like that, our little city that nobody knew about is all of a sudden bigger than Chicago. It's bigger than Houston. I'm sorry, 3rd biggest. It's going to be right behind New York and LA. And we're the only city that has the infrastructure to grow all 4 ways. Raise your hand if you like Austin, Texas, another interactive question. I can't stand Austin. I can't stand it. You guys been to Nashville lately? Used to be awesome, but Nashville can't grow. Austin doesn't have the infrastructure to grow. We literally do. Why can't Dallas go and do the things that everyone else can go and do? And I think that becomes our sales pitch. We're never going to have the mountains. We're never going to have real water, but we have opportunity. And Dallas, to me, is the new land of opportunity like Los Angeles was right after World War II. If you want to go and take a deep dive and have some fun, 2 missed calls, not from my wife. We're good. Post-World War II was the baby boom. Pre-World War II, Los Angeles was just kind of Los Angeles, right? It wasn't a city everybody wanted to move to. It wasn't the city of opportunity. I mean, it still kind of was. And all of a sudden, people get back, they start mass producing, and they have perspective. And they all want to be by the water. And they want to be in the new town called Hollywood. Los Angeles all of a sudden became the 2nd largest city, the 1st largest city, but the 2nd largest city behind New York in the course of 5 years. It's crazy. Dallas is on the same trajectory as post-World War II Los Angeles, and it's because we have the room to grow. You think about LA, they cannot grow any further west, right, because they'd end up in Hawaii, but they can go north, they can go south, and they can go east. Dallas has the same capability. So, real estate, like I said, people are viewing it more as an investment, in my opinion, than an emotional purchase, even though emotions go into it. People are making way quicker decisions, and once you get burned enough, you're going to go and overpay. Once enough people overpay, that's the new market. It's crazy. You guys ever heard of an appraisal waiver? I'm not going to get interactive. There's a document that people can go submit, a realtor can go submit something that says, my client is willing to overpay even if it's not worth X amount of dollars. If enough people go and sign those documents, it changes the neighborhood. And all of a sudden what happens, you have people like in South Dallas, in Bishop Arts, in Mesquite, in the M Streets 10, 20, 30 years ago, that have had their house for 30 or 40 years and their taxes go from $800 a year to $2,000, they got to sell. And then a builder comes in and the neighborhood has changed. And those people go another layer outside the bullseye and all of a sudden Dallas is growing at Fair Park. Dallas is growing in South Dallas. Cedar Hill, DeSoto, Duncanville, these cities that were the highest per capita foreclosures in the country 15 years ago are booming. Booming. $8,000 to $12,000 an acre in Cedar Hill, Texas. 5 years ago, they was going for $800 to $1,000 an acre. It's because you can build. The only thing those places don't have that's going to be a big obstacle is good public schools. So we're going to see charter schools pop up. We're going to see people bus into the city of Dallas. We're going to see very creative approaches, and I think that our mayor is actually doing a really good job of putting that as a priority. Next thing, like I told you guys, people are shifting to the suburbs. When you have people moving here every single day that don't know about Preston Hollow, Park Cities, or Southlake, they want to be close to an airport, they want something big, which is why places like Mansfield, Grand Prairie, St. Paul, Texas, etc. are exploding. They don't care. They're not moving here to be close to their family. They're moving here because we don't have capital gains tax and it's affordable and it's centrally located. All right? That stuff changes the suburbs forever as well. What leads us to the Great Migration? We talked about this. This is the most active time in the history of Texas, the most active time in the history of development. And I think even with interest rates being as high as they're going to be, we have no slowdown in sight. We're going to have to get more creative. And that's kind of part of my approach as a business owner is in a market like this, and when we went from having, I think probably 50,000 realtors, maybe 45 to 50,000 2.5 years ago to over 70,000 now, my commodity is people, right? So I've got to find a way as they pass this stuff out to go and be creative as a business owner, and we all have to do that in our own business as well, where about 1.5 years ago I came up with an idea, quirky, just like me, called the license launch. where my acquisition in the world of real estate, I have a cost that's pretty measurable for recruiting, right? If you think about real estate owners, they want to have qualified agents working for them, but when you go this all of a sudden from, you know, Champion School of Real Estate, if you've ever heard of them, they do a great job. Pre-COVID, they had about 400 to 500 people per month across the state of Texas sign up to take their online courses. COVID, they had over 1,000 people per week. All right, put that in perspective. For a lot of those people that were getting their real estate licenses were in the service industry, whether they were bartenders, waiters, entertainers, however you want to interpret that. They might have been flight attendants, etc., but the difference between 2 years ago and 1 day prior is they had to make it. They literally had to make it. Where back in the day, people got their real estate license because they want to try it out. You guys ever heard of those people? It's going to be my side hustle. Good luck, right? But during COVID, they couldn't go and fall back on the stuff that they got paid hourly to do, so those people made it. And those people became specialists in these neighborhoods that you and I probably don't go to on a daily basis. That's given more opportunity as well. So it's a very saturated market with agents, and I think right now there's literally 2 agents per every 1 listing, which makes it really difficult. And a lot of those agents are doing what I did when I started too, and that's doing apartment leasing, right? So these businesses are just kind of spread in all 4 ways, and it's been a lot of fun. Let's talk about land for a second as well. I mentioned some stuff on Cedar Hill, mentioned stuff about going all 4 directions. I'm a big fan of East Texas. I think East Texas is an untouched resource, and to me, East Texas is east of Rockwall, literally. If you want opportunity, I would drive east. The schools are great. And from a commercial real estate perspective, which we do as well, you're going to see a bunch of industrial development start to occur east because they can find the labor. If you guys follow commercial real estate, the most incredible market right now is warehouse space. And you know who needs warehouse space? Distribution centers, Amazon. And Amazon and Target do a warehouse, you know how many square feet they need? 1 million. You know how many people you need to work in a warehouse when you have 1 million square feet? A lot. So they're going to go and get these people out of these rural communities that are doing rural jobs, and they're going to work in a warehouse. And it's going to gentrify these neighborhoods as well. Put your eyes and ears on Mineola and Lindale, Texas. 5 minutes off the interstate, the same exit as Tyler, Texas, and it's all of a sudden becoming a boom town. Y'all know it because of Miranda Lambert. It's where my family is too, but it's just been a lot of fun to see this kind of stuff evolve. So, absorption of residential land, developed and undeveloped, and underutilized land has progressed at an ascending rate since 2020. There were 9,055 land sales in the state of Texas in 2021. And guess how many acres that was in total? I'll tell you because we've asked too many questions. Almost 900,000. And that's all disclosed sales. A lot of these things that are selling, especially to developers, it's a knock on your door deal. These are not things that are on the internet. This stuff is happening at a crazy, crazy pace. The typical rural tract sold in Texas in 2021 to a developer was 1,300 acres, right? And if you think about job security as well, an easy parallel, if you think about Toyota moving here, Toyota moves here a few years back, and my guess is probably 30 to 40 smaller companies moved here because of Toyota. Not because they were fans, but because that's where their job is relying upon. The same thing with these builders. If you think about people that go take over a community and they build 1,500 homes, and an easy rule of thumb is 70% of the land you can build on, okay? You can build on 70% of that. And if you think about a typical lot that's 7,500 square feet, you have 1,000 acres, that's a lot of homes. I'm not about to do the math. 22 times I failed it, and I'd probably be like, that's over 3 million homes. But it's happening. The price rose 29% across the state of Texas, where the average price per acre right now is $4,000. $4,000 per acre. That's including stuff in far west Texas, that's including stuff in the Hill Country, and that's including stuff in DFW. But it's definitely skewed when you get to markets like DFW. We're seeing stuff right now in the urban core for commercial development. I do apartment development stuff. And we're seeing people right now pay over $250 per foot for dirt. And these are like on acre tracts. You're seeing stuff that sold 3 or 4 years ago for $2.5 million sell for $8 or $9 million right now. But that means the numbers make sense. Those people are way smarter than me. They have people that literally crunch numbers all day long, and if they can still do that and project it, and a commercial developer builds to sell, it's an emotionless deal, then it makes sense. All those neighborhoods around it also change very, very quickly. Go look at Trinity Groves 10 years ago versus now. Some of the hottest land in Dallas is right by the jail, right by the bail bonds area. You know why? It makes sense, and it's also the only thing available. One of the best quotes in real estate ever is, I don't want all the land, I just want all the land that touches mine. And people got wind of that finally, and it's happened in Dallas at a rapid pace. So demand within 90 miles, in my mind, whenever you're talking about the rural stuff like Dan was kind enough to kind of give us a shout out on, 90 miles is my number. Okay, 90 miles east, Tyler, south, Waco, west, Yellowstone, and then north, Oklahoma. One of the fastest growing cities in the country is Sherman, Texas. Sherman, Texas borders Denison. Sherman, Texas is getting a major airport. And if you ever drive due north to Durant or to Sherman or to Pottsboro, where my in-laws have a lake house, every week you go there, it's like a new accredited retailer is popping up. It's like when you used to drive east towards Tyler and all of a sudden Terrell has a shopping center. And they get a Panda Express. And no joke, when they get, when they get a Chick-fil-A for real, it's happened. I'm not kidding you, because for real, Chick-fil-A has different qualifiers, and they just got one off the exit for Tyler and Lindy. All of a sudden, you're like, okay, we're literally on the map. That's opportunity, and people are going to go see that. So we're in the world of development. You make your money on the purchase. That's a really fun rule of thumb. And in the rule of development, residential, if you buy it for $1, you got to sell it for $3 to make your money. Developers is a little bit different game, but I think that stuff is changing as well, where we're seeing this stuff happen at a rapid pace. So the transition, like I talked about, with the land and lake stuff, just to kind of give you guys a little bit more tidbit on what we got going on here. Like I said, I'm an opportunist, but I'm also a very convenient person. Nothing about me is confusing. And my background, kind of my path to success is I just outworked everybody. And along the way, I found that some people just specialize. And I wish I was a specialist, but I don't have it in me. And so we found an opportunity across the state of Texas to go and create an entire company that's just dedicated to ranches and lake houses. If y'all know anything about COVID, I think the market, if I was going to go put my finger on one thing that was a little bit too volatile, is the second home market. People overpaid, in my opinion, for stuff within 90 miles of Dallas. And I think there's going to be an opportunity for real estate people to go help those people sell very quickly, because a lot of them did very short-term loans, right? And when you're in a panic and you're trying to get out and you've got people you can't be close to, you want to go and have a property, and all of a sudden the average price per square foot goes from 200 to 800 within like 4 or 5 months. You might have some sellers coming up, right? But those people aren't going to be affected. I mean, that market's not going to be affected in our actual urban core. So 90 miles is my magic number, like I talked about. Buyers continue to seek avenues for going and placing their money. On top of all that, I think real estate's about to be the busiest it's ever been from an investment standpoint because of the stock market. Again, I know we have people in here that are in the stock market or in the financial world, and I kind of am too, but I've seen people the last 3 weeks alone pull out real money, and they want to put it in something, and that's going to change a thing called a cap rate. A savvy investor buys at a capitalization rate, probably 5 to 8% on a good day. We've sold multiple properties in the last 2 weeks at a 2 to 3 cap. Because of that, people are now becoming short-term, what's the term, like hotel owner, hotelier, like they're hotel people, Airbnbs, short-term rentals, right? And it's fun, and it's a tangible investment they can actually put their hand in, and because of that, they're not playing the cap rate anymore, they're playing appreciation. And it goes back to having inventory in 2 to 3 years. Most people buy a property with the goal to hold on to it forever. Now we have people that are buying residential properties for a 2 to 3 year hold. 8 to 12% appreciation each year, 2 to 3% cap. You're floating your monthly money, then you're walking away with 20% cash on cash. That's good money. And again, it's a lack of inventory. And if you've been reading the paper lately, the big thing right now is the city potentially banning investors from buying real estate. Y'all seen this? It's not going to happen, right? And banning people from doing short-term rentals like Airbnbs and stuff, it's not going to happen. It's driving tourists to the urban core of Dallas. It's crazy. Our city is changing at this pace, and it's actually changing for the better. So yeah, with the land and lake stuff, I know some fun statistics too. We've got about 53 agents working for us since we launched it about 6 months ago. Our goal is to spread across the state of Texas and kind of do what we've done with these other companies, but yeah, it's been a unique time. Real estate is an interesting investment. I think we literally are in the safest city in the entire country to be an investor, an owner. It's a good song. But it's changing, and I think we're going to see people move not because they want to anymore. And I think that was not necessarily the case the last 2 to 3 years. And when you have someone that had a short-term loan, interest only, maybe their hands in the cookie jar a little bit, we're going to see some inventory in times of year that we normally don't have it. I think that the fourth quarter this year will be the busiest fourth quarter we've ever had in Dallas, Texas. So yeah, that's Real Estate Overview 101. Happy to answer questions, happy to talk about all the stuff that we do. And I know this is a prayerful group, so we do pray. I would like for y'all to pray for my family as we enter our daughter into this world, because it's going to be a lot of fun, and I'm going to have a lot less time on my hands. So thank you all for having me. Questions, I'm happy to answer them. It's been a pleasure.
With the new homes need to be added, which areas do you think will be added as more suburban or more inner core, or both, or what's your opinion on where the new homes will be?
I think it's going to be a combination of stuff. If y'all have followed the, great question, if y'all have followed the trends the last 10 or 15 years of teardowns, right? Up until about 7, 8 years ago, people would tear down homes built really before 1950. Again, the post-World War II thing, a lot of the houses like in Midway Hollow were frame houses where probably Evan and 6 of his friends from the Navy could go and push it down. And then people started building houses that were made of brick, so Evan needed to bring like 20 more friends. And then there was a phase called a roof-off remodel phase, which is exactly what it sounds like. I can't afford to go make these numbers make sense to tear it down completely, so I'm going to keep the foundation and I'm going to build up. But what we're about to see in this city is people are going to start tearing down houses that were either mid-century moderns, which are considered like masterpieces, or houses built in the 70s, right? Stuff that's still salvageable, that's kind of your classic Brady Bunch, for real, 2-car garage in the front. They're about to get scraped because the demand is meeting it. But on top of that too, the only area I've seen not have a huge surge up until about a year ago is South Dallas. But South Dallas presents the best opportunity to be within 30 minutes of downtown where you can buy at least 50 acres. I think East Dallas is pretty much built out, like the East Dallas we know, as far as like cliche buildings, so parallel and west of White Rock. North, if you don't know this, Frisco is less than 50% built out. How about that? Less than 50% of Frisco is built out. But again, Toyota has multiple other companies. Frisco has Fairview. Frisco has Prosper. Prosper has Salina. All these places are just moving at a rapid pace. So yeah, I think all directions. But for me, again, going east of Dallas, it's still yet to be completely tapped into. And I think through that, the only problem we're going to face as a metroplex is the public schooling. So hopefully that gets cured. Yes.
Yeah, I just had a quick question about appreciation. You talked about appreciation of like 8 to 10% per year as an investment, but whenever you're seeing the inflated prices at 25%, are you still thinking that trend is going to continue?
I do. And I think that I'm not an economist, I'm not a financial guy, and I had a dinner last week with my buddy who's way smarter than me, and he said inflation essentially is causing people to slow down, right? But again, when you go back to the core value of economics, it's supply and demand. And when you have 200,000 people waiting for a property and a lot of them have overpaid, it's going to eventually, it might slow down a little bit, but we have the statistics to prove it. I think what's going to hurt us is the interest rates. But I think through that, people can afford less. They're going to move somewhere else because they either give their notice to move out from their apartment or they're tired of spending money on rent. It's skyrocketed. So yeah, I think that we're still in a really safe place here. But if you want to go and kind of see the doom and gloom, like when the movie The Big Short, if y'all have heard of it, that movie and Moneyball literally changed my life. But I went to Miami mid-Big Short era. And I remember I was in a taxi cab, this is before Uber, and I was just like, oh my God. Literally everywhere you go was a crane in an empty building that was 30% built. We don't have that here. And a lot of people too are smart enough to go and start building after they got a 30% deposit from the buyer, which means they're not over levered. But again, why are people moving here? Questions we don't ask, but the lack of supply is going to continue to give us some fits.
Mark gets the last one.
Yeah.
I'm sure other people have kind of noticed this. We're getting those nice little notices in the mail now from the appraisal district.
Yeah.
But like I live in East Dallas, our land value increased by like 50%, but the structure value increased like 30%. Is that something that's happening all over the place? Or?
So I've always had I'm like kind of a fan of the appraisal district because I always thought it was bizarre as a realtor to go and sell your house for you and make sure we get maximum value, make sure it appraises. And then when the appraisals come out, it's like, it's not worth this, right? I'm like, it's bizarre, right? It's like thinking out of both sides of your mouth. I feel like the appraisal district, though, caught up for lost time. And I think when you see this kind of stuff, it's kind of crazy, but again, it's kind of not. And I think, again, the people that are in the appraisal fighting business right now are making a lot of money, and the smart ones charge 20 to 30% of the savings. And imagine doing that for thousands of people from East Dallas to, Salina. But it makes sense, right? And I think when you look at these numbers in Texas, when something sells, it's disclosed, it makes the land value all around there higher. And again, that might lead to a different amount of listings as well. But I do think there's going to be some kind of meeting in the middle right? Which if you've been reading the news or watching the news as well, they're going to try to find some kind of happy place where people just aren't genuinely screwed. But I think it's until May 16th you can go file your protest, and God knows the amount they've got in the mail. But anyway, but yeah, my stance on that is if you pay $10 for something, it's worth $10. And if you pay $10 and 2 months later you say, make it worth $7, I'm like, what? I've never understood that. But I think right now a lot of people are going to be completely fine with it being worth $7 unless they go sell. Because when they go sell, it's like it's worth $10 again. So, yeah. One more thing real quick, if I can. This idea I was telling you about, little self-pub moment. I got these blue chips. They could change your life. Now you're listening. It's called the License Launch, and what this is, it's an opportunity. I committed to 1,000 people this year to go and pay for their real estate courses. It's about $1,500 per person across the state of Texas. Give this to somebody that needs a pick-me-up, that wants to actually make real estate their career. They do it. They work at my company, which is, kind of the fun part. But I'm going to put these on y'all's table. Give it to anybody in the state of Texas that you believe would be a great salesperson. They don't have to get qualified by anyone other than you. That's how much I trust y'all. So I'm going to put them on your table. Thank y'all for having me today, and have a good afternoon.
Thank you so much for being here. What a great idea, great idea. And the way we thank our speakers is to donate a book in your honor to McShann Elementary School. So that's what we'll be doing. What is your wife's name?
Abby.
Abby. Go to Abby, take her some pasta, and best wishes to you on the birthday of your child.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. What did he say about the price of homes since the last time you were here raised?
25%.
25%. Come back next year.
Yeah.
Just thinking here. Okay, a few last minute announcements. Don't forget about the blood drive that is on Monday, Carter Blood Drive at the Moody Family YMCA. It's from 11 to 4. I think Sarah had an announcement on our Grand Marshals Luncheon.
Grand Marshals Luncheon is going to be the first Friday in June, and it's going to be at the Park Cities Club. And there's going to be 3 dinner choices or a payment for non-eater, and then email them out. You'll have to, they're asking you to RSVP by the end of May, and you have to pay, so we know, obviously. But you pay online. Just wait for the email.
Thank you. Okay, next week's meeting, you'll want to be here for that. Tom Swift is our program chair of the day, and it's going to be Congressman Colin Allred. So some great opportunities to ask some questions there. Okay, for the 4-way test, Jamie, we don't let you slide around here. You just joined today, and we're going to ask you to lead the 4-way test. So if you'll come up here, I'll help you, and we'll be dismissed. First, is it the truth?
Is it the truth?
Second,
Is it fair to all concerned?
Third, will it build goodwill
and
better friendships? Fourth, will it be beneficial to all? Okay, very good. Thank you. You are adjourned.
I actually asked my husband on the way over here, like, what if the screen goes out? Like,
Well,
what am I
don't worry,
supposed
the
to do?
president always is able to help you with that. Thank you. You're welcome. Glad to have you. I guess it's something you don't forget, huh?